Any questions, last minute questions, regrets, mistakes?
No, I mean, I have a lot of those.
Hello! Welcome back to What's a Safe Word? I'm Amp.
And my name is Viktor.
And today we're going to talk about trans folks, education, kink, bubbles. What is?
I don't know. I can't answer it.
But go ahead and describe what you do, who you are, and how you identify.
My name is Viktor Belmont. I'm a 27-year-old trans man. I live here in San Francisco, California. I live here, I work here, I love here, I fuck here. A little bit of background on me is I'm an out escort, a porn performer, filmmaker, I'm a go-go boy, I'm a bar back for hire. If you have a paycheck, I got a skill.
And I love that your shirt just says, a hole is a hole.
It's my motto. You know? I want holes.
Also a fact.
Yeah.
And because I'm no expert on the trans community, I think that it would be helpful to go over kind of a quick crash course of terminology, what's good, what's bad, and what's appropriate.
Well, I think terminology is constantly evolving and changing. Vernacular and how we talk about things is really learned from situation to situation and also through media. So when it comes to anatomy or trans people in general, when it comes to humans in general, I kind of have this approach of when I meet somebody, I don't know how they identify, I don't know what pronouns they use, I don't know what they like their body being referred to. You can always ask, hey, what preferred pronouns do you like? I think that it's really good to have those dialogues because not only can you use terminologies that people feel really good about and can make them feel really sexy, but also there's no like cut and paste formula of how somebody's gonna want their body being referred to at all. Some people just like being called a hole. Like, I know a lot of people who are just like, just call me hole. Checking in always creates consent. Even if things feel awkward, it's always really important to check in with people to be like, how can I make you feel good? What is going to feel good for you when I use these terms? If I can have my tongue in your butthole, I can ask you what you like your anatomy being called.
So you've at least seen an episode or two of this channel specifically. You know that we talk about kinks and sex. And so I wanted to bring you on to talk about kind of trans people and how they go through the kink world and how you experience kinks. Are you kinky?
I am very kinky, so I can only speak to my experience. I can't speak to all trans people, and I especially can only speak to the trans male experience. I'm a very out and kinky person. I've always been throughout my transition, throughout my life. It's this space where I get to explore a lot of things, where all of a sudden my gender is not as important as the power dynamics or things that I'm exploring. It puts me in this place where I feel pretty liberated to explore without feeling as much pressure that's put on my gender identity. And I think throughout my transition, that's always been something I've really loved. I will always try something at least twice to make sure I don't like it. Maybe 3 times. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't do it with the right person where I felt like it was right.
No, that's fair. But I like how you put it that a lot of kinks aren't just about like the actual sex organs. They're not about the genitals. Flogging, bondage, even puppy play is very much about the people and person you're playing with, the dynamics, not so much about someone's sex or their gender.
As an example, talking about my experiences, like,
sure,
I've always identified as a daddy. Not only am I very young to be a daddy, but also the idea of a daddy is like, for me, exploring that identity. And exploring that identity was something that was really healing for me, because regardless of where I was in my transition, that daddy identity not only made me feel good, but also the partners that I chose to explore with that made them feel good as well. So with kink, there's already a setup level of consent where you have to talk about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or at least check in with somebody, as to where there was a lot more stuff assumed when I was having more vanilla sex. So kink left a lot more room for me to explore in a space that felt a lot safer.
Well, and kink is a lot about communication and checking in and consent. And I think that in the vanilla space, that is the one area that a lot of vanilla people don't know how to navigate, because there is so much there's assumed dynamics within those relationships that get a lot of people into trouble and get people into cheating and get people into abusive scenarios. But like you said, it's not so much about your sex or your gender, it's about a dynamic that you share and have, a communication that you're having. And I mean, you don't need a penis to penetrate someone.
Absolutely. You don't. So the internet can know. Let's say that again. You don't have to have a penis to penetrate somebody. I'm wearing this beautiful fisting hat.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna give you a hand.
Yep.
Yeah, daddy. Yeah. Ooh.
Puppy play is a great example where like I've seen such a huge surge in puppy play with trans men, particularly.
Does puppy play help with dysphoria in the same way that it kind of helps pause daily stressors?
I think that it definitely can. It is a very specific headspace, and now there's a lot of care. Like, there's a lot of validation puppy play. If you look at training puppies in general, positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is usually how you train dogs, and that will bleed over a little bit into the puppy play world. But like, I think with bodies, it's like, you can feel really validated and feel really good, but I think that like it can really help with dysphoria in a way to explore your body where you are non-human, so you don't have to worry about the same human concerns. Talking to your family, it's dealing with all the bullshit that you have to deal with when you're being trans, like your fucking gender marker, or talking to your boss, or worrying about being outed, or worrying about being murdered. Like, there's so much stress the second you wake up being trans, where if you're in that puppy headspace, you're not worrying about anything except being a good pup. That's all you're worried about. That is your focus. And it kind of is therapeutic of just letting go of the idea of your everyday life.
So getting into the kink community can be therapeutic for many different kinds of gender, sexualities. But there's one thing that I kept seeing it online when I was looking through just being trans and being kinky, and it was people having to go through chasers, or people that are going after trans individuals and trans folks because they're sexualizing, they're turning it into a fetish. My own personal take on that was just to look at the word fetish itself and just to realize that fetishes are sexual attractions to objects or scenarios. And I think that that's very belittling and dehumanizing to trans people, because you are not an object. You are a person, and you are complex, and you have feelings and emotions and wants and needs. That's my take on it.
I always say your gender is who you go to bed as, and your sexual orientation is who you want to go to bed with. Trans people are not a fetish. We're human beings, and we are people, and we're not objects. And that's why it's so dangerous to fetishize trans people like that. Because when you don't think of us as people, you think of us as an object, and you think of us as disposable. On the flip side, gender play can be super hot for people, and I think within like the consensual context of like being with whatever partners you like I know trans folks who are into like certain types of gender play, and that feels really good for them. But that's within the consensual context of like their partners.
Context, consent, communication.
You know, I think if somebody's like, oh, I fucking love boy pussy. Like, that's a very common thing that people say to me, or trans men. I'm not telling anybody to use that word. I'm not approving of that word. But if you feel good using that word, and that's something that you like using for your body, then go off. I'll be go-go dancing at the Eagle. A dude will literally try to stick his fingers inside me and say, I fucking love boy pussy. That dynamic is not treating me like a person. You're literally not treating me like a person. I've gone through a whole spectrum of feelings of like being wanted. And from people telling me that nobody would ever want my body, to people only wanting my body behind closed doors and being afraid of being seen with me, to people who are ashamed to talk about having sex with me because they feel like it invalidates their sexual orientation.
Or their masculinity.
Trans people are human beings, and we need to be treated with the same empathy and respect as other folks. Our experiences are different than cis folks. We do have like a unique experience of transitioning and seeing a lot of spectrums of what masculinity and femininity can look like, but we still breathe the same air. If you cut us, we bleed. Like, we're still people, and it's really important to not just be like, the only time I think this person is valid is when I want to get off. Because the second you do that, you turn us into objects, and then that's how we become disposable. And humans aren't disposable.
No.
Unless it's with your partner, and that's your kink, and you talk about it before.
This is only part 1 of 2 episodes, the second episode of which will be going on Viktor's channel, which will be linked below, so go subscribe to him. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can find your shenanigans.
You can follow me on all platforms. On Instagram, I'm at Viktor Belmont. On Twitter, I'm at Mr. Victor without any vowels. Or if you need to find a compilation of all of my social media things, you can just go to victorbelmont.com. I've got some free content on there as well.
End of every episode, we always have a safe word, and today's safe word is... No, you have to give the safe word.
Oh, I have to give it? Today's safe word is brunch, because that's what I'm going to be doing after this.
Oh, you lucky bitch. Well, don't forget to leave a comment down below if you have any other questions for Viktor. Leave a like if you enjoy this kind of content. We'd love to have you back on.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys next time on What's a Safe Word. Bye.
Bye.
Real quick question for you, though.
Yes.
I noticed that Once a Week was the name of like your series. Have you ever described it as OW? Like OAW?
We can go ahead and do that.
No, I was just curious. I was like, there's an acronym in there.
Yeah.
And it's